So each group has a list of, so you've got a little group of shapes. Those shapes are all labeled. You've got a group A, a group B, and a group C. Anybody not have all three of those taped up already? I know there's some of you guys have a fourth paper. Don't worry about that one. Right now you're just looking at A, B, and C. And these little shapes are doing like kind of a little dance, okay? And what I mean by that is, so everybody look at my screen for a second. So shape number one, or like panel number one, clearly, don't tell me what, something has obviously happened from panel one to panel two, right? There has been a change. The image inside of panel one versus panel two doesn't look exactly the same. There has been a change. That is what we're calling a shape dance move, okay? Something happened from panel one to panel two. Then you can tell, obviously, something's happening from panel two to panel three, et cetera, until you get to the end. So your job is that you are going to pick player number one. My recommendation is that player number one is the person that's the most excited to be in math class today. Woo! But woo, right? Okay, so player one is going to choose either A, B, or C. Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. In your head, you're going to pick A, B, or C, and then you are going to give verbal clues to try to get the rest of your team to guess, are you talking about set A, set B, or set C? Simply based on the words you use to describe what's happening from panel one to panel two to panel three. How would you describe it? So once they have figured it out correctly, A, B, or C, you're going to choose a player two. Player two is going to choose one of the two that has not been chosen yet and do the same thing. Try to give verbal descriptions. How's it changing from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4? Try to get your team to guess which one you're talking about. We're not going to do a third round of that because obviously there's, once you know what the first two are, there's really no point in the third. But here's the most important part. So while you're trying to get them to guess, somebody, that's what the marker is for, on your dry erase area, make a list of the words that are being used to describe what's happening, okay? So if you say it shifted to the left, I want to see the word shift written up there. Okay, so the descriptive language, I don't need a paragraph, I don't need you to write a novel, but just a little list of the words that come up while you're describing. And remember, emphasis is on the movement. What is it that changed from here to here? What is it that actually happened to make panel one look different from panel two? Okay, clarifying questions at all, and I'll pause it so that's not being done. So let's just talk about what did we use, mathematicians, to describe this movement? Throw some words out at me. We'll go here and we'll just go around. What do you got?
I said shifted to the right.
Okay, so I heard shift to the right. Did you guys say it a different way?
We said moved and flipped and inverted.
Ooh, okay. So for this specific one, what did you say for this one, just from 1 to 2?
He just said move.
Okay, move is perfectly reasonable. Anybody have a different word besides shift or move? Really? Nobody had this one? I didn't see this one either. Nobody had like slide?
I said travel.
Oh, travel. Okay, travel's a good one too. So all of these words mean, so in my head, this is kind of like a weird penguin looking kind of thing. So in my head, see how is he facing a different direction? Is he so he's still facing the same way? What's the only thing that changed? He just slid over, right? So slide, shift, move, those are all words that you already know. This is the big kid word that we are now going to use for slide, shift, move. I love travel. I didn't even think about that one. This is called a translation. in math, whenever a shape slides, and it doesn't have to just be from left to right, it can be up, down, it can be diagonal. So the big kid version is a translation. And when I taught middle school previously, to help kids remember that, see how that SL, kind of for the first two letters of the word slide, is in translation? That's how I remembered which one was which. So a translation is just our big kid word for, it's still pointing in the same direction. It didn't like turn around or flip or do any of that. So that's a translation. Now, what about my second move from 2 to 3? Give me some words that you guys used to, okay, thanks, group 1. Okay, ooh, mirrored. Love it. Anything else? What else? Flip. My handwriting is terrible, guys. You'll get used to that over time. And it doesn't hurt my feelings if you raise your hand or yell at me even or like, what does that say? As long as you say it nicely, of course. Mirrored, flipped, anything else? What else we got?
Did a 180.
Ooh, did a 180 because a 180 would mean that it's reversed. Love it. Anything else? What else we got?
Inverted.
Ooh, inverted. All right. Anybody have a reasonable guess for what? Oh, I'm sorry, Nora. Go ahead.
You just said reverse.
Oh, I hate it when I do that because I'd rather you tell me instead. So I'm sorry I stole your thunder. But okay, so reverse. Okay, anybody have a guess? So these are all the regular ways that we say. Any idea what we call this in geometry? Do we call reversing, mirrored, flipped, inverted? Any idea about when something is backwards? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. So these are all different ways, friends, of in math, we're now going to call it a reflection. Now, why are we going to call it a reflection? When you look in the mirror, you know how you're backwards, right? You're your mirror image of each other. Now, friends, this reflection clearly went this direction, right? You picked it up and you flipped it over that way. But you can flip up and down. You can flip diagonally. You're going to see there's lots of different ways that you can reflect. Yes, Boo, go ahead.
Mildly off topic, but it reminded me when you said like the mirror reverse thing. But if you put a tattoo, like one of those like non-permanent tattoos,
Oh.
you can see what it says.
Oh, yeah. I do know what you're talking about. What are those called? Yeah, what are those?
Temporary.
Yes, temporary tattoos. You're totally right. So we've got a translation. So far, we've got a reflection. So, friends, our new vocab word we just learned. So now going from 3 to 4. And you guys are going to laugh because this is not going to be good. I'm so not an artist. Okay, so this is the direction. That's what number 3 looked like. And then, so what happened between, actually, that's decent. What happened between 3 and 4? What happened?
It looks like it kind of fell over.
Yeah.
It does look like it kind of fell over, doesn't it? What's another word for falling over?
It turns clockwise 90 degrees.
OMG. So first of all, it turned. I agree with that. I'm pretty obsessed with the fact that we just said that it went 90 degrees because it did. If you're not sure where that 90 degrees came from, don't worry, y'all. We're going to catch you in a couple days. And clockwise. I love it because we all know that that's the direction that a clock goes, right? So it did go 90 degrees. Somebody got another word for me that they think it might be. What's another word? Rotate. Yes. This, friends, is what we call turning in geometry class. We call it a rotation. So these, friends, are our 3 vocab words that we have now learned, the quote-unquote big kid way of saying, instead of saying something slid over, we're going to say it was a translation. Instead of it flipping or mirroring, even though those are not wrong, in geometry class specifically, we call it a reflection. And last but not least, instead of saying that it turned, we say that it's a rotation. Did the actual size or the shape of the little penguin, because that's what it is in my head, did that change? Did it get bigger or smaller? No. Did anything about it change besides the direction it's facing or anything like that? No. So there's another one last word that I want to make sure that you guys get. These are what we call rigid transformation. So transformation is the word for all the different ways you can move a shape. So translation, reflection, and rotation are all transformations. They're all types of transformations. And they're rigid because they don't change the size or the actual shape. So this is our big idea behind this activity. We've got the words, we've got the vocab to describe it. Now we just need to use that very specific academic language to describe those movements. So again, why is it called a rigid transformation? Because what stays the same?
Surface area.
That's true. You're right. So the size and what else? The shape. So that's why they are rigid, because they don't change. Okay, as much as it pains me